first thing I want to know, right? How did Major Figgaz come together? In school, from the block, or you call your cousin, or something like that?
It's crazy. We all kind of like had relationships with each other in different ways. I probably knew Gil the longest. Me and Gil used to play like little league football together when we was like 9, 10 years old.
Okay.
So I knew Gil. And then my homies, some of my homies from the hood went to school with Bump. So I knew Bump. Bump came around. And I always knew Lava from just seeing Lava around. And I probably met Dutch the latest. You know what I mean? I probably met Dutch and Rolex around the same time.
Okay.
And Bianca came late, like toward the end of the game. You know what I mean? When we was already start moving and shaking. You know what I mean? So I probably got the longest history with. I mean, in Wallo, yeah, Gil and Low. You know what I mean? I got the longest probably.
Who came up with the name Major Figgaz?
Wallo.
Oh, okay, Wallo. So him coming up with it, is he a part of the group? Because I don't think he rapped, do he?
He did. In the beginning, he did used to rap, but right when he came up and started it, and he came up, got the logo done and all of that, he went to jail like right then, like right when it was ready. I remember when Low, before I was even in the group, Low came and let me hear one of the songs. Him and his first song, he was proud. Him, Gil, and El De Niro had a song called Bankrolls, and he came and he played it for me like, "Yo, Spade, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this." I'm like, and that sound good, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember he was just trying to learn how to rap nice. Like, yo, wow, you can't have 200 bars raps. You got to cut some of them joints down, make it shorter. You know what I mean? I how to write bars, how to, break it down, and then he figured it out. But he always had the business mind, the business plan, because we wasn't thinking about making a logo and no crap like that back then.
Okay. So, like, speaking of Wallo, like, so how we see him now with the motivation, back then, was he always like that?
Always. Maybe not with the motivation, but he always had the same energy. He always would go get after it. I got an idea, I'm gonna go. He always was I'm gonna set it off. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do something. He had that infectious energy, so he always been that guy, that person for sure.
Okay, so are you writing raps in jail? Like, yo, when I get out, it's gonna get crazy.
I've never written a rap in my life. I've never like sat down with a pen and a pad and wrote a rap.
This is an exclusive. This is an exclusive because they got you top 5 in Philly.
Yeah, I've never sat down with a pen and a pad and wrote a rhyme. It just always comes up in my head. You know what I'm saying? I just be articulating my thoughts. It's like you ever, back in the day, Soul Train, and they had a Soul Train board and all the letters be up there, and you just gotta. That's how I be. I know what I want to say. I just gotta figure out a way to make it rhyme. You know what I mean? That was it. That was it. I never wrote, but in jail, I never even thought about rap because I was so bitter. You know what I'm saying with music that I didn't write no raps. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, in the beginning of my bid and early in my bid, freedom wasn't a reality to me. So the last thing I was rapping. You know what I mean? I was like, man, this ain't gonna be. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be 60 years old rapping. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking about none of that crap. No.
I respect that. Even in that world, because me, y'all was people I was watching, giving me that motivation to be competitive. So back in the day, I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but back in the day, in the public to us on record or over beat, who threw the first shot in the state property versus Major Figgaz room?
I don't really believe it was like a first shot. I think it really didn't have nothing to do with rap, honestly. It was just like a lot of things bubbling under the surface amongst people, and then it was just rivalries, you know what I'm saying? Because we was all right, you know what I'm saying? We was all good. You got to figure Major Figgaz was formed as a group, but back then in the beginning, State Property was never a group. You know what I mean? It was like it was Ice City and Siegel was Siegel. You know what I'm saying? And Chris and Neef was just really starting and getting it together, and Oskino and Sparks was ICH, so it wasn't no real thing. And then as they formed, it kind of was like we kind of let the people divided us. We let the people divide us, like the streets, because it was like Siegel, South Philly. And then, it always was South North, we don't mess with South. It was always that crap from the old, it was like really kind of nutty. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't understand. It's just like we was new. Nobody was getting on from Philly rapping. You know what I'm saying? Nobody from Philly was being a rapper wasn't thorough back then. Like it wasn't thorough rapper because it wasn't no outlet for people. Nobody, to the industry, rappers was the root. backpacks and that's what Philly rap was. So when we came, because we kind of had our thing more organized and was moving forward already before we met Siegel. You know what I'm saying? We was already in the studio making records and making mixtapes and doing all that stuff. So we was kind of moving and shaking already. And then it was just like people kind of divided us up, you know, which turned out to be, you know what I'm saying, you know, the worst thing that possibly could have happened, not just for us, but for the city. Because for a long time, other than until Meek really got it pushing, nobody else from the city really could get on. Everybody just was going at each other. So it was like everybody was just going at each other's throat. Like nobody even thought about making records.
Yeah. You know? So did Jay-Z, is it true Jay-Z wanted y'all before State Property?
It wasn't State Property. It was supposed to be Major Figgaz and Beanie Siegel. That's when we did the Philly, all of that. We were supposed to be on the what was the tour? The Hard Knock Life tour. It was Major Figgaz and Beanie Siegel. That's why we did the Philly record. That's how that thing was supposed to go. And then once we was like, we ain't gonna go that route, it kind of about faced. And then, you know, Sadiq and Roller and Black Friday and them, they just organized like, all right, these are the best of the rest of the city. These are the best guys, and they like to put it together. You know what I mean?
Okay. So all right, so we know that, you know, Major Figgaz is a group, but is Dutch Spade a group in itself, or that's just your man that you was with all the time?
Nah, that didn't happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? That happened kind of accidentally. Like we was just ciphering one day, and then somebody was like, "Y'all sound good together." And then he took me and Dutch to New York, and we met Un at Justin's, and we rapped in front of Un, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to sign y'all just like that, y'all two." Like, it wasn't no, like, me and Dutch never hung together, none of that back then. I barely knew him, you know what I'm saying? I just was getting annoying, you know what I mean? So it just so happened that our styles complemented each other as far as making music, and it just worked, you know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Okay. See, we ain't know that. All right. So this something else I want to know. So did Major Figgaz ever officially break up, or it just faded out on a music tip? Because I know y'all brothers in real life, but on the music tip, it just was like, man, we ain't.
Well, I mean, a lot of that stuff happened while I was in jail. Like, you know what I mean? Once I was in jail, it was like things kind of just dispersed. You know what I mean? And it did kind of just, people started kind of going their own ways and doing their own things. You know what I mean? So I don't ever look at it like broke up, but it was just like, you know, life started carrying people different ways. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. So what's your relationship with Gilly right now?
I just left them. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got with everybody. It's no ill will, you know what I mean, with nobody. My relationship is good with everybody.
Right. So I remember when you first got out, you know, it was like a big thing that you was coming home, and it was like would you supposed to like sign with Meek or like a Dream Chasers or something like that?
No, I was never going to sign with Meek, but Meek, when I first came home, Meek was one of the first people that I saw that came to see me. And when I came home, Meek, like, look, I just want to try to help you. You know, you deserve it, OG. One of the OGs from the city. You one of the reasons I do this. So any plays I can run for you, I'm going to try. But at the end of the day, Meek wasn't at the level he is now. He wasn't, you know, maturity-wise and his standing in the industry. He wasn't where he was at now. You know what I'm saying? He was big, but he was still growing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was still himself. So he was still learning the process of the game. And the reality was, it was like I kind of wasn't really ready. Because I ain't going to lie, when I first came home, I kind of was like standoffish. I really was like, it took a while for me to even start. Because he's like, come on, wait, let's run around. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't into none of that. Yeah. And even when I started doing it, like I was uncomfortable. I'll never forget the first time we was together and I went down to Miami. He like, yo, I'm ready to go do this walkthrough. Come with me to go do this walkthrough in the club. I'm like, what is a walkthrough? We get to the joint and motherfuckers handing him like $40,000, and I'm like, what you got to do? He like, no, I'm like, just sign me up for some of these walkthroughs. Sign me up. It's this easy. I need me a walkthrough real quick. Crazy?
Yeah. So you know, I think y'all most legendary to me. I'm only 34, so I could be off, but to me, your most legendary song is "Yeah, That's Us." Who came up with that hook?
The producer Hot Runner TL already had the beat, and it already had the "Yeah, That's Us" in there. We just put the rest of the stuff in there. Who the players make and all that stuff in there. You know what I mean? but the beat already had the bass of the Yeah That's Us in there, the sample. It actually wasn't. We wasn't the first people that had this song.
Oh,
we didn't. It was E Money or something from Detroit had it. So we went to Detroit one day and he was like, yo, I had this song. That's why you notice 42 Doug said, yeah, that's us. And we paid because it was a big record in Detroit first.
Oh.
Before we ever even got on it.
Yo, Spade, you just gave me an exclusive. I ain't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that shit either until I got to Detroit and we heard it.
and your music career, like, what's the thing that you're most proud of that you accomplished?
My mom was happy. You know what I'm saying? My mom was happy. At the end of the day, my mom was proud. You know what I mean? And that was the most, because I mean, a platinum plaque, none of the plaques, you know what I mean, can never amount to that. You know what I'm saying? The fact that I was able to make her happy. You know what I mean? And that was that. That was more than enough for me.
Right. Okay. So do you feel like even though you was, to us, y'all was stars, you know what I'm saying? Major Figgaz was all over the world. So are you feeling like because you running in the streets of Philly, it's hard to separate the streets from the fame? Like you just out there, or in your mind, or it's just something you just caught a bad break?
I don't say a bad break, because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, kids make mistakes, men make decisions, you know what I mean? So it was like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? It was a choice. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to take my money and I didn't have to go back to the streets to do this or do that. You know what I mean? It was a choice. So we weren't rich. You know what I'm saying? It's the difference between famous and being rich. Fame gets you out the hood. Wealth gets you out the hood. We were not rich or wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we was popping, but we had a large group. So all the money, the pie is split up amongst a large group. You know what I'm saying? So we wasn't rich, so therefore you still was in the trenches. You still in it. You still in it. So what you gonna do now? But now in it, and you famous, you got a target. Yeah, nobody not going to try to get a notch in their belt off regular Asa, but nigga might try to get a notch in his belt off Spade-O.
Spade-O, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a different game out here.
What's some of the worst advice you got from somebody?
I mean, it's so much. So much. I think the worst advice I ever got was not taking that deal from Jay. That was the worst advice I got. Because
so wait a minute.
I used to have to pay.
So this is different. So somebody advised you not to do this.
Multiple people advised. You know what I'm saying? Multiple people advised. Like Jay and Dame used to come out me morning, because at the end of the day, amongst the group, I was kind of like the glue. I kind of was like the glue between everybody, because it was like me, Gil, and Lava was kind of like the elders, and Bump and Dutch and them was younger. They had their own minds and they was intelligent, but they was younger. So I was kind of like the glue. You feel me? That's why when everybody felt when I came home, I was going to be able to put everybody back together. You know what I'm saying? But, some things just couldn't be fixed. You know what I mean? But I'll never forget. I used to have the piece of paper. I don't know what happened to it when I went to jail. Jay sat us down. He was like, listen, you might could get $1 million from these people, but this is how I break it down. He's like, you can get $1 million from them, or you can get 300,000 from us. But look, a verse from me is going to be free. A verse from me with a label is going to cost you 250,000. A beat from Timberland from me is only going to cost you 50. A beat from Timberland with them is going to cost you 200. And he just broke it down. He's like, listen, you're going to be able to recoup faster with us, because you're not going to have all the overhead. So it's not going to take y'all long. But, at the end of the day, it was just like, we just we want to take the money. Like, you know what I mean? We want the money. You got to remember, it was like we was just rapping for free 6 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy what you just said. That's crazy. And I think a lot of, it's 50 people on this live. I'm going to guarantee that 30 or 40 of them rap. You just probably saved a bunch of people from making a fast decision.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. Like everybody, I want to be independent. I want to own my masters. Your masters, what's the purpose of your masters if they're not worth it?
That night on the Come Up show where y'all doing the freestyle and Matt call up or whatever, when the show is over, the next day, what's happening? Is y'all in the studio, or y'all don't hear, or it's just go away? because when we can't see these things, like we can't see what's happening.
It was just regular. It was just regular. I might have seen Mac a day or two after that. Like me and Mac never had a bad relationship. Me and Mac never had a bad relationship. Me and Free never had a bad relationship. Me and Petey never had a bad relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
okay,
it wasn't like a we at each other type of joint. It was just like, yo, that's your team, that's my team. You know what I'm saying? My team better than it wasn't no like real like I mean the streets might have thought it was venom like that because all our old heads was mutual people. You know what I'm saying? We had a bunch of mutual people.
right.
Because
Right.
I was attached to the streets. So my folks really was from downtown. So I'm down there a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm down there all the time. They like, come on, Spade with the dumb stuff. I'm like, man, I ain't really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Going that up.
Yeah.
I got the like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't really, yeah.
So look, like in your career, right? Like what happened? Because I know in the hood, you know, you got your homies that know y'all and you know in local area, but what experience that you have that told you like, oh, I'm famous, like I'm famous for real now?
I think the first time my mom was like, yo, you famous.
Yep.
And my mom didn't believe this. My mom didn't believe and didn't care about none of this stuff till we was on Soul Train. She like, boy, you on Soul Train. They don't believe. She didn't care nothing about no BET, no MTV, no nothing. Until we made Soul Train, I wasn't nobody. She came on Soul Train. She called me 90,000 times the next day. Boy, you didn't tell me you was good. I said, Mom, I told you already. And then when the Major Figgaz album came out, we had an in-store. And it was used to be the record store in Cheltenham Mall. And we had an in-store. And my mom came up there and the line was through the mall and out. She like, yo, this is crazy. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, she crazy to me too. You know what I mean?
Where are you when Eve is coming up?
I've been to Eve from Eve used to be in the ciphers like Eve was around. Like Eve was like be in the hallway in high schools rapping Eve and they're beating on a lunchroom table and rapping just like that. You know what I'm saying? Eve like a little like, that's why she was able to get on and get right in. That's why she was able to get down with an all guy crew and do her 1 and 2 because she was used to that being in the trenches like that. She like family.
Okay.
But I'm my ways to mess with her, so he started bringing her around, and then I started to hear, and I'm like, yo, Shorty is dope.
Wow.